everyone! Welcome back to my land. It's me, Tony, and these are two naked girls. Not for a long time, as I promised in the previous video, in this one I will review you my clothes creation process. For me, it's the coolest part ever. I love tiny clothes. So, to the tuning table.
First of all, I start with a sketch or a basic drawing to guide me the idea. It can be a simple design or something more fancy made in Photoshop. In this case, I create an illustration of the character and then I design the costume. To help me define which outfit is ideal for the character, I usually define the personality. I write a short story and it helps me to have a perception of colors and shapes. And then we move to creating the pattern. This is how I organize my patterns, by the way. Very simple and easy. For creation, I use the same pattern methods that I learned in the college, using measurements and formulas to create the base and transform it the way that I want. This is my favorite method. It's basically like making normal clothes. It's extremely satisfying, huh? We add the seam allowances, then we cut in a piece of paper. And test it on the body. This type of method always requires a test before the final piece. But this is not a general rule. You can choose other methods, like bonding masking tape, consisting in wrapping the doll in a plastic film, sticking the masking tape over it, and transforming the doll into a mummy with the masking tape, and then just draw the model you want. With the help of scissors, we open the masking tape cocoon. In the rounded parts, you need to add darts to make it flat. And add the sewing lines. This is a good idea for those that don't have their own clothes or unusual body shapes. Deconstructing an outfit is another alternative. Take an outfit factory made and undo it. Choose the parts as a pattern. I confess that is an interesting method, but a little bit tiring, as it takes a little time to dismantle the outfit. But during the process, it's interesting to take a note of the construction steps to rebuild it again. A small problem that I must mention is that sometimes the fabric can be deformed, causing the pattern unusual shapes. So be careful in the ironing. So to make your life easier, in this video we will use the brand new patterns that are available in my online store. I will save you from the mathematical monster in the case of the construction. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it as it is, but you can modify it the way you want. Before we starting, let's talk about fabrics. If you don't want to spend or don't have much money, I recommend you to go one of these clothing repair houses and kindly ask them for leftover fabrics that go to waste. They will give you for sure. And we all know with a little scrap of fabric, it's possible to dress up a monster high. This is the way I organize my fabrics, in these small Ziploc bags, because I can always turn everything into a mess. So keeping the fabric separate, I just select the bag and open it. I usually recommend cotton fabrics, as they are easier to sew. Glossy fabrics like satin are usually a little slippery, but extremely beautiful. Polyester fabrics can have their edges burned to avoid the fringing. But anyway, you can use any type that catches your eye. Alright, let's take our beautiful patterns and start it. Here I have the printed file. The first thing you should do is read the instructions at the top of the page. And then check the scale at the bottom. It's just to check if your printing is correct. Okay, let's go to the sewing rules book. I'm considering that you have a basic knowledge of sewing. First of all, when we sew any piece of clothing, we always start with the darts or pockets, because with the outfit open, we can make these details more easily. Tony also needs new outfits, so I'm going to start with the men clothes. I will use this shirt jacket template to show you the assembly process. We start sewing the shoulders. In this process, you add some details. I added some straight seams to make it look more fancy. Then we go to sleeves. Sewing sleeves is not an easy task, but with the help of some pins, everything is simpler. Now the cuffs. Sew one end in the right side of the fabric. Then fold it inwards twice to give a better finish. Now we sew the collar, and then we close everything with the side seam. And now our jacket's ready. Adorable. Now let's go to the t-shirt. The process is exactly the same. Shoulders, sleeves, cuffs, side, collar. In this case, I decided to glue it because it's a very small part. But be careful, don't use too much glue. Keep it away from getting stone hard. You can use white glue to stop the fringing. I sewed as snap buttons in the back. And our shirt is ready! Don't forget to save your scraps of fabric to use later. With the same pattern, I make the short sleeve shirt, another shirt, this one with the collar. It's already included in the pattern. It's always the same, I just go on making modifications. This is so fun! Now we are ready to try something more. How about a suit with a lining? Just repeat the previous process twice. But we only put sleeves on one of them. The other one, we will make the hem of the armhole and leave an opening part in the back. Now we sew the side of the collar, where the dents are, and turn it inside out. This is how it looks after being ironed. Alright, now we have the three parts. Time to unite. First, we put the sleeveless part on the part with the sleeves, like it dressing up. And we put the collar between the two parts. The collar should be inside. Now we pin our little fabric sandwich and we put everything together, sewing around the edges. This is why we leave a hole in the back, to turn everything inside out. Ta-da! This is how it turned out. We are almost ready. Now we just need to close the hole in the back and it's ready. Let's test it. So adorable. Fits perfectly. Everybody thinks that lining dog clothes is such a terrible thing, but now you can see it's not that nightmare. In the same way, I made this female coat. Lining an outfit make your looks look more professional and clean. To make a lined vest, we need to cut twice as many parts. In this case, 2 of each. We start with the side seams and the middle of the back. As in the jacket, do not forget to leave an opening hole in the back. We put the two parts together, inside out. Now a very important thing. We sew it in the sleeve hole, the neckline, and around it all. Except the shoulder. This will be part of our magic trick to hide the seams. Now we turn everything inside out and iron it. Now we push the front shoulder inside of the back shoulder until it comes outside. Then we adjust the two clothes together and sew it. Now turn inside out and it's done. Just adorable. Let's make some pants now. For me, the pants are the easiest to make. First, we start folding the pockets and sewing around the edges. We connect the pocket with the inside. Now we connected the leg by the hook, remembering to leave the space to put Velcro or buttons. And turn it inside out. We make the hems and join the sides together. We sew the waistband and voila, it's made! So adorable! Well, it's not so easy to put the hands in the pocket, but you can use it as an interesting look. I have these patterns of woman's flare too. It's exactly the same process, only difference is we have to sew the crotch. Alright, let's move to the most fantastic part. Dresses. For me, are the best to make, because their way of assembling is always the same. I will start with the symmetric dress. The shoulders are already attached, so we move to the next step. The sleeves. I make the hem of the collar. If you don't have much pratt, you can glue the edges instead of sewing. We hem the sleeves and close the sides. We all know the Monster High arms are absolutely cute and thin, but the tip I give to you is never make the sleeves too tight. It will be difficult to turn inside out and even more stressful to dress the doll. After years turning inside out, we apply the color. I sew it inside, then fold over the seam and sew to make it stay down. With the bodice ready, let's apply the skirt. It may seem intimidating to apply the skirt asymmetrically, but it's easier than you think. We put the fabrics outside with outside and sew on the inside slowly. Make the hem. As I said, pins are never too much. With the dress open, I make the seam in the divider between the top and the skirt to make the seam more flat, joining with the seam underneath. It's time for the last step, to close the back, but not at all. We need to leave a good space for the doll entering. We turn inside out and sew the back, add a Velcro, and it's done! With the same pattern, I made another variation. Nothing too difficult, adding a ruffle here, a bow there, and then we have another dress. Now let's try the biparts dress. Very well, let's start closing the teeny tiny darts. Now we join the top with the bottom. We fold the seam down and sew over it. I know this seam looks horrible, but I was I don't have time to redo it, so I have to fix it in the end. And this happens because I chose a satin fabric, and it slips a little bit when we are sewing. Now we sew the neckline and hem the sleeve. We join the parts of the back with the top. Be careful to not confuse the sides. And finally, we do the side seams and close the back. I added a little roof in the hem to make it more romantic. How can something with a ruffle looks bad? I fixed my ugly seam, covering it with a tiny satin ribbon and nail jewelry with a bow. Using the same pattern, I made this one completely black. And on the hem, I added a long tulle gathered skirt, which I pressed with the iron to cause the idea of pleating. The second attempt is always better than the first, right? The reason I make this completely black is because we are going to embroider with some beads and golden flowers. I just love to embroider. It relaxes me. And the result is wonderful. So shiny. Alright, let's make the puff sleeve dress. We start gathering the sleeve. We use the template on the pattern page to know exactly the size that the sleeves should be. Well, I don't know how, but I ended up losing the footage of this part of the process. But rest assured, I will show you how I did it using this blank model. After gathering the sleeve, I seal the cup and glue the top of the edge to keep it away from fraying. Now we close the side of the top and hem the neckline. Let's say that this particular dress doesn't follow the sewing rules. And then we close the sleeves. And we sew the sleeve on the top. So here we are again, back before I lost all the footage that I have. It seems a song. Now we join the sides of the bottom part and connect the top with the bottom. In this pattern, you have two options. You can just make the hem or add a beautiful ruffle below. Speaking of that, there is another way to make a ruffle without gathering. Just measure the hem with a string, then put it on a fabric forming a ring. Trace around the circle and add the ruffle weight. And trace it again, forming a ring. Cut the ring open, just straight it. And it's done. Another way is draw a long spiral with the weight of the ruffle and cut it open. This kind of ruffle is called flounce. I pressed mine with the iron to make it flat. I'm using this pin to check where I'm supposed to stop sewing. After closing, we seal the velcro. Almost ready, but a detail is missing. With a thread and a needle, we gather the neckline to shape it. We make a little knot and ta-da! Now it's ready. So adorable! I love these puffy sleeves. The 2-layer strapless dresses is one of my favorites. I use it to make Delilah's dress. Well, according with the rules of the book, we always start with the darts. Then we sew the sides and make the neckline. Time to gather the fabric of the ruffles. Now we apply the ruffle on the top layer and turn the ruffle and sew over it. By the way, this type of seam is called overlapping top stitch. Repeat the process on the underneath skirt. Now we join the two skirts with the top. Time to test it on our mannequin and fit perfectly. Well, now it's time to fashionize this basic dress. I'm going to wear these glitter ribbons. I cut very thin strings and stick on the edge of the neckline. The idea is to make it look like a corset, so I will add the details to make like the seams of the real one. And the final detail, the belt. It's amazing how a simple dress becomes so fierce after a few details. This is another dress that I made the pattern. The construction is exactly the same the others. The only difference is that the sleeves are gathered on the shoulder, but I absolutely hated this tube skirt. Well, today I decided to change this pattern. In the world of sewing, it's like that. Sometimes you move forward, sometimes you move backwards. Let's give it a cute Lolita skirt. I cut my new skirt pattern and joined the ruffle fabric. Much better, huh? But it's missing something. All the Lolita details. Some of my patterns include an optional accessories, such as pocket, collar, ties, bows, and everything that is good. Now it's absolutely cute. I tried to remake the Dracula's Forbidden Love dress. For that, I used the parts of the patterns that I have. The top and sleeve of this first one, and the part of the body and skirt of this one. To finish, I cut two rectangles together and form the double skirt. The cool part about my patterns is you can modify until you get what you want. Soon, you will have so much clothes that you can make a fashion show. Why not?
Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!